Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to Golden Wisdom, where we explore life's challenges with insight, compassion, and a scientific perspective. I'm Dr. Alexander Monroe. And today we're diving deep into a subject that is as emotionally complex as it is practically important. If you or someone you love has ever lost a spouse, you know that the period of grief brings not only profound sorrow but also crucial decisions that can affect your financial, emotional, and physical well-being for years to come. Before we begin, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me the best advice you've ever received on coping with loss or managing finances during challenging times. Your experiences enrich our community and help us all learn together. Today, I want to share with you insights on 5 common, yet costly mistakes that can occur in the wake of losing a life partner. As a doctor with decades of experience treating patients through both physical and emotional healing, I have witnessed how grief can sometimes cloud our judgment. While my expertise primarily lies in medicine, I have also seen the interplay between emotional stress, financial decisions, and long-term health outcomes. In this video, we will carefully examine these mistakes, explore why they happen, and discuss strategies to protect not only your finances but also your overall well-being. Segment 1. The emotional weight of change and the temptation to sell the family home. One of the most common decisions that many widows face is whether, or when, to sell the family home. Imagine walking through a doorway that was once filled with shared laughter, warm embraces, and daily memories of your partner. For many, that house is more than just a building. It is a repository of cherished moments. However, when the pain of loss becomes overwhelming, there is a strong impulse to make a change, sometimes by selling the home quickly. I've encountered many patients who, overwhelmed by grief, rush into selling their family home as if that might somehow speed up the healing process. Yet, as both a medical professional and a lifelong student of human behavior, I have seen that decisions made in the fog of grief are often regretted later. The home is a symbol, a living archive of your life together. Selling it in the early days of mourning might provide temporary relief but can also lead to long-term feelings of loss and regret once the initial wave of sadness subsides. For example, let me share the story of Mrs. L., a kind-hearted woman in her late 60s. After the passing of her husband, she was inundated with advice from well-meaning friends and family urging her to sell the house and move on. Overwhelmed by grief, she quickly accepted an offer. A year later, as her pain began to transform into a reflective sorrow, she expressed deep regret. She realized that the home, though painful to inhabit at first, was a treasure trove of memories and a connection to a happier time in her life. This realization underscored that sometimes allowing time for healing is the better choice. My professional perspective, shaped by both medical understanding and real-life observations, is that emotional healing is not a process that can be rushed. The stress of making hasty decisions often exacerbates anxiety, which in turn can contribute to other health issues such as sleep disturbances, depression, and even high blood pressure. It's crucial, therefore, to give yourself the space and time needed to grieve fully before making a permanent decision like selling the home. Take a moment to consider your own environment. Perhaps instead of selling immediately, you might slowly reimagine your living space, making small changes that help you feel like you are reclaiming your life without erasing the history that fills those walls. Segment 2. The perils of trusting the wrong people with your financial future. The sudden loss of a spouse often triggers a cascade of offers of help, from distant relatives to acquaintances and even unsolicited financial advisors. The vulnerability of grief can leave one open to trusting individuals who may not have your best interests at heart. Financial decisions made in haste during such a vulnerable time are often filled with hidden pitfalls. In my years of practice, I have seen the damaging effects when someone in a state of mourning hands over control of their finances to someone they barely know. The absence of clear boundaries and critical evaluation can result in devastating losses. I once consulted on a case where a widow, overwhelmed by her new reality, allowed a relative to manage her savings without a proper formal agreement. Within months, mismanagement had nearly wiped out her financial reserves, leaving her in a precarious position. This is not only a financial hazard but also a profound stressor that can further jeopardize your mental and physical health. The stress of financial insecurity can lead to chronic conditions such as anxiety and even heart disease, conditions that I have seen become increasingly common in patients who have faced similar losses. So, what can be done? My advice is to approach all offers of financial assistance with a critical mind. If someone offers to help manage your finances, insist on having everything documented and reviewed by a qualified, independent advisor. Look for professionals with verifiable credentials and always seek a second opinion. As a doctor, I cannot stress enough the importance of maintaining control over your financial decisions during such a vulnerable time. Your money is not just currency. It is a critical resource for maintaining your health and security. Remember, trusting your finances to someone without proper checks and balances is akin to handing over your well-being on a silver platter. Protect yourself by verifying credentials and understanding that a true advisor will always welcome a second look at their recommendations. Segment 3. The hidden dangers of a lump sum payout. Another common mistake that I've encountered, both in clinical practice and in discussions with financially stressed patients, is the decision to take a lump sum payment from a pension or life insurance policy immediately after a spouse's death. On the surface, receiving a large sum of money can feel like a safety net, a way to secure your future immediately. However, the reality is that a lump sum payout often comes with unintended consequences. After a significant loss, it is not uncommon to feel the sudden rush of relief at having a financial buffer. But this relief can be deceptive. The immediate availability of a large sum of money can lead to impulsive spending and poor investment decisions. I have seen cases where patients, under the cloud of grief, used this money for unwise expenditures, often on luxury items or investments that promised quick returns. When the emotional pain lessened and a clearer head emerged, they were left with little to show for the money that was once meant to provide long-term security. Let me recount the case of Mr. J, a gentleman in his mid-50s who, after losing his beloved wife, was presented with a hefty life insurance check. In the early days of grief, he felt it was his chance to reclaim some control over his shattered world. However, without proper guidance, he opted to take the entire sum at once. Within a few years, Mr. J found himself facing severe financial instability and increased stress, a situation that undoubtedly contributed to his declining health. His story is a poignant reminder that sometimes the promise of immediate relief can be more of a curse than a blessing. From my perspective as a physician who also cares deeply about preventive health, I advise against rushing to take a lump sum payment. Instead, consider structured options such as annuities or monthly disbursements. These alternatives not only provide a steady income over time but also help in avoiding the pitfalls of impulsive spending. When you're grieving, your decision-making faculties are not at their best. It is wise to stretch the financial support over a longer period, thereby maintaining stability while you navigate your grief. This measured approach also protects you from potential pitfalls related to tax implications and the loss of government benefits that might be associated with a sudden, large influx of cash. In essence, think of your finances as part of your overall health. Just as you would never overload your body with a sudden change in diet, do not overload your financial life with an immediate, large payout. Segment 4. The emotional trap of co-signing loans and excessive gifts out of guilt. Grief has a way of distorting our sense of obligation. Many widows find themselves torn between the desire to honor the memory of their spouse and the overwhelming need to maintain familial bonds. One particularly dangerous consequence of this internal conflict is the pressure to co-sign loans or distribute large sums of money as gifts, often out of a sense of guilt or an attempt to fill an emotional void. This phenomenon is more common than you might think. In times of loss, we often feel compelled to make decisions that we believe will keep our loved ones close, even if those decisions are not in our long-term best interest. I recall a patient, Mrs. R., who felt immense pressure from her adult children to support their financial endeavors after her husband's passing. Wanting to be the supportive, caring mother she always was, she co-signed a significant loan without fully understanding the risks. When her children's ventures faltered, she found herself held responsible for debts that eroded not only her savings but also her sense of security and dignity. The emotional toll of such decisions is not limited to finances alone. When you co-sign a loan or give away a large sum of money, you are not just risking your financial future, you are also opening the door to potential conflicts and strained relationships. It is vital to remember that while family is important, your financial stability is a cornerstone of your overall well-being. As a doctor who has seen how financial stress can exacerbate physical conditions such as hypertension and anxiety, I implore you to be cautious. I personally believe that protecting your own well-being should be your top priority. It is not selfish to say no, nor is it an act of neglect. Instead, it is a clear acknowledgement that you deserve the same care and respect that you have always given to others. A wise approach is to seek professional financial advice before making decisions that involve co-signing or gifting large sums. Additionally, consider the long-term impact on your mental and physical health. Ask yourself, would this decision enhance my ability to heal, or will it merely add to my burden? In my practice, I encourage patients to set firm financial boundaries after a major loss. This is an important step in ensuring that your financial health supports your overall recovery. Instead of giving in to guilt or emotional pressure, take time to evaluate each request critically. Sometimes, it might be more beneficial to offer emotional support rather than financial assistance. Remember, a well-healed heart is far more valuable than a momentary sense of obligation. Segment 5. The critical importance of updating legal documents and beneficiaries. Finally, one of the less immediately obvious yet crucial mistakes is the failure to promptly update legal documents and beneficiary information. When a spouse passes away, it is natural to avoid dealing with paperwork that feels cold and impersonal in the midst of a deeply emotional time. However, neglecting to update wills, power of attorney forms, and beneficiary designations can lead to legal complications and family disputes that last for years. I have encountered numerous cases in my practice where unresolved legal documents have led to prolonged conflicts among family members. One particularly striking case involved a family where outdated beneficiary forms resulted in heated disputes over inheritance. This not only created a stressful legal battle but also strained relationships irreparably. As a physician, I understand that stress and conflict can have serious health implications. The turmoil from legal battles can contribute to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depressive symptoms, further complicating the recovery process after a significant loss. From my perspective, addressing these legal issues might seem like a cold, bureaucratic task at first, but it is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and your family. By updating your legal documents promptly, you are ensuring that your wishes are clearly defined and that your hard-earned legacy is preserved exactly as you intend. It is an act of protection, a safeguard for both your own well-being and that of your loved ones. Here is a personal recommendation: do not delay. Consult with a trusted attorney who understands family law and estate planning. It might seem overwhelming at first, but taking this step will ultimately provide you with peace of mind. By having everything in order, you reduce the risk of future disputes and ensure that your estate is managed in a way that truly honors the memory of your partner and protects your children or grandchildren's future. Consider the story of Mr. T, a widower who neglected to update his beneficiary forms for several years after his wife's passing. When an estranged family member unexpectedly came forward to claim a share of the estate, the ensuing legal conflict not only drained his resources but also left him feeling isolated and betrayed by those he once trusted. His experience is a stark reminder that neglecting such crucial details can lead to a cascade of long-term issues, financial, emotional, and relational. These lessons are not just financial or legal advice, they are also about preserving your overall health. Chronic stress and emotional turmoil can lead to a cascade of physical health issues. By making well-considered decisions and protecting your resources, you are indirectly investing in your long-term health and peace of mind. Now, let me share some further insights through personal anecdotes and case studies that underscore these points. I once treated a patient who had faced significant financial losses because she hurried to sell her family home. In the immediate aftermath of her husband's death, the emotional pain was unbearable. And she agreed to a quick sale at a price that undervalued the true worth of her home, both monetarily and sentimentally. Over time, as her grief settled, she regretted the decision. She later confided in me that the home had been a reservoir of hope and a symbol of the shared journey with her husband. That experience taught me that, in times of loss, even seemingly practical decisions should be approached with caution and compassion for one's emotional state. Another case involved a widower who, in his desperation to manage the newfound financial responsibilities, trusted a long-lost relative with his savings. Initially, the relative's charm and assurances seemed to offer solace. However, within months, mismanagement had resulted in significant financial stress that not only affected his credit but also his overall health. This case reinforced my belief that while help is often well-intentioned, it is imperative to be vigilant and to seek professional, independent advice before handing over control of any finances. These stories, though deeply personal, illustrate broader trends. The impact of decisions made in the wake of emotional turmoil can echo throughout one's life, affecting not just financial stability but also mental and physical health. In my many years of practice, I have seen how stress and poor financial decisions can contribute to the very physical ailments we work so hard to prevent. This is why I advocate for a slow, measured approach where time is taken to heal and professional advice is sought at every critical juncture. As we near the end of this discussion, I want to reiterate a key point. Grieving is a journey, and no one expects you to have all the answers immediately. However, protecting your future, both financially and emotionally, requires deliberate, informed decisions. Each of the 5 mistakes we discussed today is a cautionary tale, reminding you that your well-being is a priority. Allow your emotions to settle and consider alternative ways to adapt your living space. Memories are invaluable, and sometimes a few small changes can preserve what matters most. Be skeptical of unsolicited offers, verify the credentials of anyone managing your money, and don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion. Financial security is an essential part of your overall health. Opt for structured payouts that safeguard against impulsive decisions and provide you with long-term security, rather than a temporary sense of relief. While family support is important, overextending yourself financially out of guilt can have lasting negative effects. Protect your assets so that you can continue to take care of yourself, although it might feel cold or bureaucratic. Ensuring that all legal documents reflect your current situation is an act of care for both you and your loved ones. It prevents future conflicts and solidifies your legacy. Each of these steps is not just about avoiding pitfalls, they're about creating a stable, nurturing environment in which you can continue to heal. As someone who has seen the profound effects of stress on both mind and body, I can say with certainty that managing the practicalities of loss with care is as important as tending to your emotional wounds. Before I sign off, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. While loss brings unimaginable pain, it also presents an opportunity to redefine your future. Embrace the healing process, surround yourself with trusted professionals and loved ones, And remember that taking care of yourself is the best way to honor the memory of those you've lost. Thank you for watching this in-depth discussion on avoiding critical mistakes during one of life's most challenging transitions. If you found these insights valuable, please like this video. Subscribe to Golden Wisdom, and share your experiences or any advice you have received in the comments below. Your engagement helps build a community where we all learn to navigate life's difficulties with resilience and wisdom. May you find strength in your journey, clarity in your decisions, and peace in knowing that every step you take towards self-care is an investment in your future. Remember, you are not alone. And every decision you make is part of a larger path toward healing and renewed hope. Stay safe. Take care of your health, both physical and emotional, and never hesitate to reach out for help when you need it. This is Dr. Monroe, signing off for now, and reminding you that your well-being is the greatest legacy you can build. Until next time, may your golden years be filled with wisdom, resilience, and love. Thank you once again for joining me on Golden Wisdom. I look forward to reading your comments and continuing this conversation in our next video. Remember to click that like button, subscribe, and share this message with anyone who might need a bit of guidance during challenging times. Stay strong, be wise, and take care of yourself.